being immortal. So when you is hard for a quarter, man, we gonna ride. I'm not playing. We ain't leaving out a dub. I promise you. I'm getting everything out. That beat shit is far a little ball. Hey, I like thanks to my nigga them. We gon' play with them pistols here. We smoking dank in my liver, yeah. We get shit wet on river, yeah. We get shit wet like the river, yeah. I wet shit like Austin Rivers, yeah. Check me out. On my side is getting wicked, nigga sliding. Mama told that boy to shake the city, so he ride. On that Mac, it be a titty, show no pity when we diving. Roll your brother in the gang before he hitting, why you hiding? OG now be dropping bags, no I don't, bitch, why you lying? M.S. Closet popping tags, spent 5 racks on my designer. Put 15 up on your ass, but that's your ass.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sideline Surge. We've made it. We're almost done with the fall semester. Shout out to everyone who's in final season right now. And that also means that we're getting to playoffs very soon. We are now in week 15 of college football, so that means conference championships will be in a few days, starting Friday. And then after that, we have the annual Army-Navy game on December 13th. And then after that, we have the bowl games, which will be from December 13th to January, I guess. And then obviously, we'll have playoffs, finally, starting December 19th, all the way to January 19th. So we're going to be covering every single inch of that. But first off, we have to talk about the upcoming championship games, the conference championship games, Smosh. We finally made it. We have two teams, two championships that we have to watch because two of those teams need them to get into the playoffs. First off, BYU, Brigham Young University, against Texans at Texas Tech University. BYU needs this. BYU really needs this. They are number 11 right now. If they manage to beat Texas Tech University in the Big 12 championship, they get in. Who out of these two teams would you rather see in the playoffs, in your opinion?
Um, my opinion, I feel like I want to see Texas Tech only because I feel like if BYU wins, right? Yeah, it would be good, but then I feel like they go against any other team, they're gonna get whooped. That's just me personally. But then Texas Tech, on the other hand, is like they could put up a decent battle. But end of the day, it's like it's playoffs. There's always either some type of upset or just any change of events that can like really just change the outcome of the playoffs. But I don't know. I feel like I definitely want to see Texas Tech instead of BYU.
It's a rematch too, because they beat them once before already,
Yeah.
a few weeks ago, 29-7. So a pretty handy defeat. So I mean, you gotta assume that BYU is gonna come in with a chip on their shoulder, but no chance of them actually turning that chip into results. And then the other team that really needs the game for their playoff chances, Alabama. They will be hosting Georgia at home for the SEC championship, and that's going to be a huge game. Alabama needs this because they've slipped up one too many times. They slipped up against FSU. They slipped up already, I think, against Georgia. Wait, no, they beat Georgia. They beat Georgia by 3 earlier this season. They slipped up against Oklahoma. You know, we saw a similar thing last season where a lot of people thought that they were lucky because they got put in over FSU, who, as you remember, were undefeated, but they lost their quarterback, and so the FSU were excluded. Do you think Alabama has played good enough to be in the playoffs this year?
I mean, you can't really argue that they aren't good enough. Like they even though they did lose to FSU very first game, and then they lost to
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Even with those two, it's like they still lost against pretty good teams, or at least at the time. Like it's not like they lost against some pretty horrible teams. So I mean, you can't say like they don't deserve to be in playoffs. Like this would be the year that like they should be there. So it all comes down to really just this Georgia game. Um, we already know if Bama beats Georgia, Georgia's definitely gonna fall a little bit, or well, yeah, probably just a few spots. But if Bama was to lose, I don't think it would really matter that much because it's like they're losing against a top 5 team. It's not like they're losing against somebody that's ranked below them. So unless the committee wants to really have Bama out of there, if they do lose, then I mean, I like that. It is what it is. You can't do nothing about that. But Bama deserves being playoffs. Like you can't argue that they don't deserve to be there. I mean, like there's a few other teams that you could probably try to argue, but Bama has proven themselves, almost all season. So
Oh wait, I'm so dumb. There's gonna be in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's gonna be in the Falcons Stadium. That's actually huge. That's gonna be a huge game. College game day will be there. The matchup predictor right now on ESPN is a 50-50, basically. The odds are actually slightly in Alabama's favor. No, yeah, that's gonna be a good game. I can fully see Alabama coming out on top. And then obviously I think the game everyone's gonna be watching, Indiana University at the Ohio State University. Number one and number two, the top two showdown for the Big Ten championship. These are, without a doubt, the best of the best teams this year. They are both undefeated, and both are going to be looking to keep it that way after this game. You know, there's probably so many expectations we could talk about for this game, but what do you really want to see from this game out of these two?
well, hmm. I really just want to see both sides do good, honestly. Like Ohio State, I mean, unless you are a fan of a rival team, I think everybody's rooting for Ohio State. But then it's
Yeah.
like with Indiana, they've came out of nowhere and tried to prove so much. Like they're really trying to say that like we're here. Even in the past seasons, we may not have been that top 5 or top 3 team or even number 1. Like we may not have been there, but they really made that change, and like now they're number 2. The second undefeated team ranked number 2 on top 25. Like that's huge. A lot of people's not going to think it is, but that's way bigger than we make it seem. So I don't know. I really just want to see a good game, like overall. Even if it goes like overtime, double overtime, like I want to see a very, very good game, bro. Because this is like the two best teams that we've seen in probably like 2 seasons. Like this is gonna be surprising.
What's your score prediction?
34-31,
Who wins?
Ohio State.
The Ohio State University. Anyways, to finish off the championship games for this weekend, or at least like the more important ones, Duke at University of Virginia. And the reason I bring up the ACC championship is because Duke here is 7-5 and is going to be going into this ACC championship against UVA. If UVA gets in, or if UVA wins, the game against Duke, which I think everyone expects them to do, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that Virginia goes to the playoffs. However, I think there's a real nightmare scenario here to consider. That if Duke somehow pulls a win over Virginia, that there might not be any ACC team in the playoffs this year. And that is crazy to me. I mean, we still have UM. Obviously, like, there's a chance that UM gets in. It's a very small chance, granted. We have to really much pray that the committee looks favorably upon us. but there is a chance that there's just no ACC team in the playoffs this year. Now, obviously, I think everyone expects Virginia to get in, to win and then get in. They're gonna be going into the playoffs, right? They're ranked number 18 right now. And that ranking will probably change tomorrow, but likely not by much. What what kind of, pressure will Virginia have going into the playoffs, assuming they win against Duke?
I mean, it's gonna be a lot of pressure, like no doubt, because they're gonna be one of the the lower teams on that. So it's like you're pretty much gonna beat a team that's not even gonna be in playoffs, and then now you're gonna go against straight like top competition, like the best of the best. So that's a lot of pressure going from just probably just a decent team, probably like a mediocre below average type of team, to literally all the best teams with all the best players. Like that's not easy, you know. So I don't know how it's gonna be for them, but as long as they try to come out strong against Duke, and then they just carry that onto very first game in playoffs. If they do make it, then I think that they will be good. Like it's always feel like that first round in playoffs is always I feel like that's the heaviest, because you get there and it's just one game. It's not like you made it all the way to uh the chip, but you like they look at the very first week of playoffs. So you lose that, it's like, okay, we pretty much got here for nothing, type of thing. But then you fight all the way and you make it past that, then like, okay, we're really carrying something. So if as long as VA does that, then I don't think they have a problem really. It's just it's gonna be difficult to see, where they how good they really be against these other powerful teams.
In my mind, it'll. No, oh my God, I'm so sorry. In my mind, it'll be so tough too, because like for the predictions that I see from like Bleacher Report, for example, they would be going in firstly against, the Aggies, against Texas A&M, who has looked unstoppable besides the slip up against Texas last week. And then if they were to win against the Aggies, they would have to go against Georgia next. So it's just, they're going in and they're already gonna have a massive challenge ahead of them. But we'll see. We'll see after this weekend. We have to see how UM, you know, is looked at by the committee, because right now it's all up in the air about what they're gonna do. But that's not the only headline right now, not the only piece of news right now. I think that the biggest piece of news this week, just in the football world in general, Mr. Lane Kiffin, head coach of the Ole Miss team, former head coach now because he just accepted a contract from LSU to go be their head coach. Now, granted, he did want to finish off as Ole Miss's head coach. They are going into the playoffs very likely, and he wanted to finish off the season with them. However, Ole Miss does not want him to finish off. So now they have promoted the defensive coordinator, I believe, to be the head coach for the rest of the season. I don't think we ever see stuff like this happen. Not in pro football, not in college football. Who do you think is more at fault here? Is it Kiffin for, taking the contract to LSU, or is it Ole Miss for not letting him finish out the season?
Well, I mean, you can't really say anybody's at fault, because if you look at it from both sides, Ole Miss is most likely going to make playoffs, and they need a coach.
Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, if you're going to leave, just hurry up and get out of here, type of thing. But then with LSU, is like, as no, a lot of people aren't going to admit it, but when you have a dream of really, taking over a program and turning it around, especially when it's a very, very powerful school, power four, power five school, you're going to want to take the opportunity. Like that's is guaranteed. No matter how much money it is, you're going to want to do that, because that's what you already wanted to do. So when the opportunity presents itself, Of course, you're going to take that. So you can't even say like, oh, he's at fault because he doesn't want to finish the season with Ole Miss. Nah, he literally wanted to. He wanted to finish that season first before he left. But Ole Miss said then he needs to make a decision, and so of course he's going to sit down, make that decision, and then announce it. Like that's just how it is. Now at LSU, this could be a very good thing, or it could just be something that could be the start of a very good thing. It's not like they're going to get a very good head coach and then all of a sudden like they're going to be beating every single school. Nah, that's not how it works. So no, nobody's really at fault. It's just it's unfortunate because now people are going to look at it as, oh, he didn't really want to be there for Ole Miss. But at the end of the day, a lot of coaches that go from one decent school to a great school is like, I mean, at that point you're really just arguing with yourself because a lot of people are going to take that opportunity. So it is what it is.
Do you think that it was wrong for him to take the 7-year contract, like $13 million a year, um, to go play for a rival school?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's because if it really was wrong, we wouldn't have a lot of you know great players, great organizations, great coaches going to other teams. We wouldn't have that because if rivalry really ran that deep, and even though it's a business first, it's a school first, you know, if rivalry really ran that deep, we wouldn't see a lot of college players going to any other school. We
Yeah.
wouldn't see a lot of coaches going to any other school. We could even say the same thing about NFL. We wouldn't see a lot of those happening. So it's like, if it really was that deep for him to not go to another rival school, it's like, okay, he probably would have, of course, went somewhere else or just completely stay with Ole Miss. You know, but even then, he's been there for 6 seasons. That goes to show you is like, okay, he's been here for 6 seasons. He knows the code. He knows what's going on with rivals. He knows that down in the South, you're going to have all those rivals. You're going to have everything. And yet he still went to LSU.
Yeah.
That shows that some people are just either too deep into the rivalry, even though it may not be as serious from a business aspect, or some people are like they're just diehard fans, and that's understandable. But at the end of the day, it's always gonna be a business first before anything, So it's money being made here. It's not like everybody's getting, going there for free. Everybody's coaching for free. Nah, he's getting paid. That's, I mean, you can't argue that.
Yeah. Well, that'll do it for this week's college football segment. NFL segment coming right up.
Yeah, 60 on it. Yep, low spur. We going all the way up. Yeah. I'm gonna turn this bitch all the way up. Hey, Brandon, why you? Yeah. I'm on the block with that heavy, yeah. On the block with that heavy. Watch out for cops that pull up in them Chevys. Whip out the crack, my main trap, her name Betty. These niggas don't want no smoke on my body. Gucci and Louis can't do no Zanati. Bad bitch on me look like she hang with Kylie. I used to fuck with a bitch, hang with Kylie. On the real, I think that bitch live in Cali. My boy shot the pot of the flower that Kylie. Yeah. I could've been a stylist. I remember when the boys used to dollars. I got a girl that trap like she from Dallas. I got so much money, need an accountant. She said
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the NFL section of the Sideline Surge. We have a lot to talk about, but first off, Monday Night Football is happening literally as we speak right now. It is 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Pats, I think, have handily defeated the New York Giants 33-15. As we are getting closer and closer to the end of the regular season, the Pats look stronger and stronger and looking like they're gonna make the playoffs for the first time in a while. I mean, this is the best we've seen the Patriots, I think, since the Tom Brady era finished, since Bill Belichick left. Is this exciting for you so much to see the Patriots be good again?
I mean, it is because like they've been in a drought for so long. Like they've ever since Brady Grunt left, that team just disbanded. A lot of people retired, and even with Belichick not being there anymore, it's like ever since then, they've been in a very very dry season. Like that is everything has just been not going in their favor. And even with them having some stars going in and out, it's like it was nothing they could really do about it because now you're getting all these these good stars, but then they're immediately leaving after like maybe a season. It's like it hurts, So for
Yeah.
them to finally come back out of nowhere and now they're really like showing a lot of people that they're pretty good. I mean, this is heartwarming, like because you can't go from such a dynasty, such a powerful like great team, and then it's like, bro, now you're not even getting talked about at all throughout
Yeah.
the season. Like that hurts. So now for them to come back and change that, after pretty much just one or two seasons, like it's very good to see. But now it's going to question a lot of other things because they're beating some of the the better teams of the league in recent years. So now it's going to spark more questions of like, are they really good, or is it flukes, or is the other good teams, like, are they just not playing good because they're losing? It's just having momentum. It's going to be a lot of things like that. But
Yeah.
like overall, as a football fan, you have to acknowledge that like they're really going out there and playing their hardest.
I think it speaks a lot to the organization that, it's been what, how long since Tom Brady retired or Tom Brady left the Patriots, like 2019?
Um, 2018 to 2019, I believe.
It's been like maybe a little bit over 5 years, and they already look good again. I mean, granted, there's the argument to be made that their schedule this season isn't the hardest, and we'll really see how much of that is actually true when they get to the playoffs. But I think it really speaks to the organization that they've been able to rebuild everything, and they're good again within 5 years when there's like a lot of teams that haven't been able to do that like at all. But anyways, we'll get back to Drake May later. We gotta talk about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving gave us a lot of good games, but the first one I want to talk about today, Dallas. Fucking Dallas. Dallas, in the span of basically a week, of basically less than 7 days, I believe, has beat both Super Bowl teams from the past Super Bowl, both the Eagles and the Chiefs, within 7 days. The Eagles last week, and the Chiefs just this past Thursday. Granted, but it was a close game by 3 points. But I mean, Dallas Cowboys are all fans are always saying, this is our year, this is our year. And now the way Dak Prescott, the defense looks like it's finally getting its act together somewhat. Dak Prescott has not put his foot off the gas. He had 320 yards in this one game. George Pickens looks like he's the trade of the century. CeeDee Lamb looks like he's getting his flow back together. I mean, everything looks like it's coming together for Dallas. Do you think they can make it? Do you think this is actually like kind of their year?
Um, yeah and no, because if their record was better, then 100% it would be guaranteed. But at the same time, you got to think of how, yeah, they may have beat those two teams, but then look at who those two teams are also losing to as well. So you kind of you have to like slide that in there, slide that into the equation to really see like how this is going to play out. But I mean, it's no doubt that like they have everything there, to really be one of the best teams. It just overall as like coaching, just the franchise, how the players perform in games is like that's the only thing that's really keeping them from being one of the best teams. Like obviously with them being 6-5, we would see like, oh, that they don't deserve to be in playoffs, but nah, like they still beat some of the best teams. You beat Chiefs, beat the Eagles, even with Commanders having a hurt Jaden Daniels at the time, still beat them 44-22. And then you
Beat
tie
beat
the
a
Packers.
Giants team that was like
Is
like playing
exactly,
very good at that time.
exactly.
Tied
So
with a Packers team that was playing very good.
like you can't argue that like, oh, they don't deserve to make playoffs this year. Of course they lost very first game against the Eagles, and you lose against the Bears. 2 games later, like yeah, you may have losses there, but who they're losing to, it's not like they're losing to literally the very worst teams. Lost to the Panthers, and Panthers arguably have a chance to make the playoffs this year. You know, so like you can't say that they don't deserve to be there because they really do. It's just if they turn it around and win the rest of their games, then now we'll really be able to see how they could perform in playoffs. Because we always see how they'll make the playoffs, then they'll probably lose first round, or like just things just don't go their way and they don't make it. That type of thing. We've seen that a lot in recent years. But if it changes now, you could arguably say that they're going to be one of the better teams in playoffs. As is how it is right now. It's even playing field all around. I don't really see, any team like I don't have any favorites for the Super Bowl this year. Honestly, like that's
It's
just
just
how
how
it
it
is.
is this year.
Like is you can't you know put anything above that. You got to call spade for spade, bro. Like there's so many teams. It's like this. They're either neck and neck, or they're just way above, and then you have the remainders from that. So Cowboys, they have a chance, is what
The thing,
right?
I mean, like the thing you have to say about this Cowboys team right now is that for the first half of their season, up until the loss against the Cardinals, they were just massively inconsistent. It would be a loss one week, a win
Yeah,
the other, a convincing win one week, a disappointing loss the other, beats up a team one week, loses by a bunch to another. And now after that Cardinals game that they lost, they are on a 3 game win streak. Like finally, like they're actually getting hot and on a streak. That's why I think, I wouldn't get ahead of myself to say that, they're gonna make it yet, especially with the Eagles kind of having an easier schedule to round out the season. But if they look good against the Lions this Thursday, if they look good against the Chargers in about 3 weeks, I would argue that they have that they're getting their stuff together, because that was the problem earlier this season. The problem wasn't the offense. The offense, Dak has been playing good like most of the season. He's had like one of the highest QBR ratings um of the season. It was just this defense. This defense was having a lot of problems, and now it finally seems like they're getting their act together, which is good. But anyways, let's move on. Next game, Cincinnati at Baltimore. Joe Burrow, Kookie Bear, has finally returned to play at the Bengals. And wow, wow, wow. That's all I have to say. He looked amazing in this game. I was talking with my stepdad after this game. We were like, oh, like the Bengals are probably bad unless Joe Burrow can turn around. I can 100%, I'm gonna call it now. I can 100% see Joe Burrow taking this Bengals team for a run and getting them in the playoffs somehow. They have the Bills and the Ravens for the next 2 weeks, and then Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. If they get past these 2 weeks, I can 100% see them inching their way into the playoffs. What do you think, Samaj?
it's I don't know, it's weird because with their schedule was like, yeah, even though they just beat the Ravens, you also have to see it from like, okay, yeah, Ravens were also struggling the entire season, so it's not like they're going against a team that's already 9-3 or whatever. Like it's not like they're going against one of those teams. They same record pretty much. So with that, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe they have a chance at really making playoffs. But then again, let's say they play those next week, then they lose. Now, how is that going to look? Because you lose against a team that lost to a team that was horrible. You know, you literally lost against the Bills that literally lost to the Dolphins. That's trash. So like, I mean, yeah, you beating the Ravens, that's a huge accomplishment, especially for Burrow's first game back. Like that's huge, but that don't mean, like, oh, now the season's gonna be great from here. Like, oh, they're just not gonna lose another game. Nah, bro,
Yeah.
you still have a strong chance to lose at least, one or two maybe. I right now I would say it's more on defense. I feel like as far as defense, they do their job. They will be able to pull through. Offense, we see them still being good, of course, but when it comes to playoff time, and if they do make it, you can't rely on the same same strategies all season. Can't rely on the same routine, same stuff. Can't always rely on Jamar Chase. Can't always rely on T Higgins. Like you
Can't
can't
rely on
always
Joe
rely
Burrow because
like
we saw the minute they lost Joe Burrow, everything went to shit.
you like everybody has to everybody got to step up. So if we don't see that now, then definitely not making playoffs. So we'll have to see.
I think another surprising game. We have so many. We have three more games to cover because like holy, this past weekend was crazy. The Bears somehow in this crazy season that is happening right now look like the top team in the NFC right now. They beat the Eagles handily by 9 points. They looked amazing. The defense, like I think it's the first time I'll ever say this. The defense looked good. They have the first positive season since 2018 when they last made the playoffs. Like, oh my God, this Chicago team actually looks good. You know what I mean? And I mean, you saw Ben Johnson. He took his shirt off in the back and like was going crazy. They had the two running backs, Kalman Ungai and DeAndre Swift, hit plus 100 rushing yards for the first time since 1985, I think it was. Like my only critique is that they got to figure out Caleb Williams. He's still not looking to like the peak that we could be seeing Caleb Williams, but everything else looks good. We're not gonna talk about the Eagles. The Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts played fine. It was just one of those days. But I do want to talk about this Bears Samaj. Like, how excited are you getting by this Bears team right now?
I mean, th- like it's good because it really has not been like very long time since we were in middle school since they made playoffs. So like now that's a very good thing, for them to really be. I mean, just dominating. They only lost 3 games. Like they're 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 doing their job. Like there's no other way to say it. They're going out there and doing their assignment.
And they've been
But
consistent now because they won nine
yeah,
of the last 10 games
yeah,
after going
yeah.
0-2 to start the season.
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah, like that says everything right there. You had a rough start, but then you shake back, and now you're just going on a long run. So right now, it's definitely good to see them to really be going out there and doing everything they can because bro, Bears are really one of those teams where they've had decent runs in the last few decades maybe, but then it's like all of a sudden now you want to feel bad for them because they literally have not had a decent season in years. So I mean, if you don't really at least somewhat feel excited for them, then I mean you probably have a rival team you're a fan of, so I mean, so I understand that, but
Yeah.
other than that, like you have to at least root for them, bro. Like they're doing everything they can, especially with a lot of people having a lot of hate for Caleb Williams. Like you being led by head coach as he's really bonding with the team. Really being like he's a player, not just a coach. Like he's a
Yeah.
player there as well. He's doing everything he can. So you got to root for them. They overall every single player they're trying to go out there do their assignment, and even if they may not have one player step up this game, another player's going to step up, and we've seen that literally game after game. So overall for the Bears is definitely good to see. Um, after all these years of them not even making playoffs or anything like that. So right now it's just I don't know, man. It's still a lot of teams that's like right there with them. So it's
Yeah.
gonna be hard to see how playoffs is gonna be because they if they don't carry that same type of engine going into playoffs, then I don't think it'll really be worth anything for them to fight so hard and to still not carry that all in the playoffs. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, moving on. Houston at Indianapolis. We saw the Colts fall apart for I think the second time or third time in the past few weeks. Um, I don't even want to talk about the Texans. It's crazy to me that like this Texans team that looked so bad is now kind of like, looking okay. Like they beat the Bills last week. But you know how we were showering what's his name, Daniel Jones so much with like his improvement coming from the Giants, and now it looks like it's all like falling apart again. Is this a cause for concern, or do you think the Colts can pick it back up after this week?
Colts will pick it back up. I mean, I don't see them not, picking it back up because if you look at the teams that they lost against the Rams, that was the first loss of this season. Rams are literally one of, like, you
The
can't,
teams.
doubt them because they may not go out and put up, 30 or 35, 40, whatever. They may not
Yeah,
go there and do that, but they're still going to be one of the most competitive teams you're going to go against. So, one, like, that's, you know, it's pretty much a loss. But then you're going against Steelers, you can say the same exact thing. Even though Steelers may not have every single star there like they used to, doesn't mean anything.
yeah,
Overall, as a franchise, as a team, Steelers are arguably still one of the best teams to look out for. Chiefs, we already know how the Chiefs is. I mean, like, even though Chiefs may not be the
fighting
best
tooth
in
and
the
nail.
division, they're still like, I mean, like they're fighting, bro. You can't say like, oh, just because Chiefs are horrible right now, you can't say that and think that, oh, now they're gonna go out and just lay on the floor and let Colts win. Nah, bro, they're still gonna put up a fight. Now with the Texans, of course, nobody's expected that, but at the end of the day, when you look at their division, it makes sense. You literally have three of the best teams, in that division in the conference. It makes sense. You already have Jags, Colts, and Texans. That's arguably three of the best teams in the conference. Like, of course, it's not like you gonna go against a team that's only one win, one
Yeah,
win or one loss behind you, and then you're just gonna blow them out of the water. Nah, bro. Like, it's gonna be a dog fight throughout the whole game. You know, so for that, it's like it's not surprising that they lost, but at the end of the day, it's still surprising that the Texans are turning around the season so quickly. That's what's the only surprising part about it. Other than that, that's as normal. Like we're going to see those good teams go against each other, and someone is going to win or lose. So right now, I don't know. I think Colts is there. It's not gonna be a problem because when you look at every other team that's around that same record as them, you you can't really say that, oh, they're above or below. Like all of them are pretty much even. You can say the same exact thing with every other team in the AFC. That's most likely to make playoffs. You can say the same exact thing. So it's not gonna be a problem for them. Colts would definitely be able to shake back after this game and just go on a crazy streak and dominating playoffs. Like I that's guaranteed.
yeah. Well, the last game you mentioned them earlier, the Rams. The Rams lost to a Panthers team. I think I've been hearing people call this like a generational game by Bryce Young. So I think it's fair to say that, the Rams just did a slip up. Matthew Stafford had a okay game, two touchdowns, two interceptions. There was not a lot of rushing. They were able to get rushing, but not enough. It was just one of those games, I think, for the Rams. But the Panthers, I do want to talk about the Panthers with you. Bryce Young with 200 yards and three touchdowns. I mean, he looked great in this game. You can't doubt that at all. And, I think the biggest question is, can he maintain this to get the Panthers into the playoffs and finally look like a number one pick? What do you think?
I mean, he could, like, the thing about Bryce Young that people don't want to like really admit is that you can't put him, you know, in a very high tense moment and expect him to not do well. You can't, because he's going to go out there and do well. It may not be the 300, 400, 500 yards or whatever, or however many touchdowns. It may not be like that, but overall, how he's going to orchestrate, the game for them to, for that to work in their favor, he can do that. and that's exactly what we just saw in this last game. You know,
Yeah.
the teams that they lost against this season, two of them are literally are two of the best teams. You know, like of course you're going to uh uh you know have a struggle with that. You lost against the Jags first game. Cardinals. Cardinals are one of those teams where like yeah they may have beat a good team, and then they'll lose probably against a decent team. Like there is it's going to be one way or the other. It's not like they're going to lose against a very horrible team. You know, then a few weeks later lose against the Bills. That's expected because Bills are a powerhouse. You know, lose against the Saints. Saints are another one of those teams like the Cardinals to where yeah they may beat a decent team, but then they'll lose against a decent team. 49ers, one of the best teams. Like they've had some pretty good statement games. That's just how the Panthers are. And if you look at every single one of those games and look at how Bryce Young played, not just stats, how he played, you can see how he has everything in him to really like go out there and play. It just people always try to push that negative light on him for no reason. Like
Yeah.
yeah, he may not have had best rookie season or best sophomore or whatever. Like yeah, he may not have had that, but even then you have to give flowers to the man, bro. He's going out there and doing everything he can to try to change around the organization. Like you can't really put that any other way. And
Yeah.
then you're going out there with rookie receivers or even one or two vet receivers. O line is still at least trying every game. He, he's doing all he can. So I think probably it may not be this season, because with their record they're barely above 500. You know,
I can see
so
them getting in this season. That's the craziest part.
yeah, like they for sure have a chance, but then
Because the
it's
NFC South isn't like it's them and Tampa
yeah,
Bay right
yeah,
now.
exactly. So it's
They're
like
neck and neck.
yeah, they have a chance, but it's really gonna come down to however like those last powerful games that they have. Yeah, that's really all it is. And
Yeah.
even if it's like a decent win, that's still better for your record. So as long as they get wins on the board, then they're for sure in playoffs. But if it's like win loss, then we won't know until like the very like last week, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, moving on, before we get into like the biggest headlines, um, we have eliminated teams already, which is crazy to say. Goodbye to the Titans, who have had a very depressing season this year. All prayers up for Cam Ward. The Raiders, who have been a mess. The Giants, who, lost Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterboo in the first half of the season and have had concussion problems with Jackson Dart, although their future doesn't look that dim. The Saints, who, we don't gotta talk about the Saints, and the Arizona Cardinals, which I honestly don't think they haven't played that bad. They've shown some light this season, but man, the NFC West is fucked right now. They're all like 9-3, 9-4 teams. Like that division is crazy. But anyways, headlines. Mr. Sauce Gardner has avoided an Achilles injury, thank God. He has a left calf injury and will be out um for some unknown time, but not too long. So no injuries are needed, so that's good. I need to pull up something that I just saw. Apparently there was a fight like during the Giants and Patriots game, but there's always fights. But I saw something about Justin Herbert. Here we go. The LA Chargers, Justin Herbert is day to day right now after undergoing surgery on his fractured left hand. So, his status for the game against the Eagles will be determined later this week. That's gonna be huge because the Chargers need this. And I don't think the Eagles would complain about him being injured, especially since they're fighting with the Cowboys right now and with the rest of the NFC for that number one spot. But now we gotta move on to the Sideline Surge team. the Patriots game finally is over, so we can talk about Drake May. 24 completions, 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he continues to be right now the top 3 yards passing for a quarterback behind the likes of Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott. The highest completion percentage rate. By the way, all of these yards, he's top 3 in yards with a lot less attempts. He is number 16 in passing attempts, and he has not that much completion. Like, he doesn't have that many passes compared to the top, but he has one of the highest completion rates. One of the highest, or no, the highest completion rates. The second most yards per pass attempt. And that's not even talking about how he has an insane ability right now to save plays because he is the 4th most sacked in the league, but he has like 200, 100 yards less per loss over everybody else. So, I mean, after saying all of those accolades, like, there's a lot of doubt on the Patriots about how their schedule hasn't been that hard. Do you think there's a valid point to that, especially with these stats? Or do you think Drake May actually is good and the Patriots are actually good?
Um, I mean, well, yeah, we could, push that argument of their schedule hasn't been, the hardest. We could 1000% say that. But then at the end, like, bro, you have to understand these are still NFL teams. It's there isn't no like, oh yeah, they're going against D1 college, D2, whatever, high school. Like, bro, they're still professional NFL teams, bro. Yeah, they're gonna go against not the best teams. Not they were. It's never gonna be a season to where every single team is just that good. Never. That's almost impossible. Like you can't really do anything other than win against a horrible team. Like, bro, what are you doing if you do lose? So with that, it's like, yeah, you can sit there and say the schedule has been the hardest. Lost to the Raiders first game, and then of course beat Miami, lost to Steelers, but then not one loss since then. So what? Because now let's say, yeah, they were still just a good team, but then now they're losing against those other, you know, not so good teams. Now what?
Yeah.
Because now you say that, but then look at the Panthers, look at the Steelers, look at the Titans, look at the Saints, look at the Browns, look at the Falcons, like look at the Jets. Now if you sit there and say schedule's a problem, but then imagine they didn't win against all those teams. Now you can't say schedule's a problem. That narrow's going to be pushed every single time when the team is just playing that good, and then they're also not thinking of the fact that he's really not the most, one of the most sacked QBs, bro. Come on now, that man's literally going out there, and it's almost a guarantee for him to get sacked almost every single play. Like, come on now, you have to give the man his props because he's really doing everything he can to make sure all the players are doing doing well. And the thing is that people want to have that thing of, oh, just because they're a very good team and their schedule isn't the best because they're going against like some of the lowest ranked teams possible, that does not mean that as soon as they go against a good team now they're going to struggle. That's not how that works, because then they beat the Bills and the Bengals. Like, come on now. And they also beat the Bucks. They're still going against good teams, beating them. Now it may not be by 30. It may not be by that 40 or 50, whatever. They're still going out there and putting up very good numbers against great teams that have been great for years. This is the first time Patriots have been this good in years. But now, of course, all of a sudden when they're being, pretty good, is it schedule? Is it flukes? Is it this? Are the other teams just trash now? Like, that
Yeah.
is all that is gonna come into play. But we all real football fans know Patriots literally have a chance to really come out there and actually get a ring. they have a chance to. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed, but they have a very strong chance, more than almost any other team. You know, so like I don't see the point of trying to say schedules isn't that hard or whatever. I don't see a point in that because we could say the same exact thing about so many other teams from decades ago. We could say the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear that whole schedule thing.
Okay, next up, our running backs, Jonathan Taylor and James Cook III. Jonathan Taylor had an okay game, 21 carries for 85 yards, 3 receptions for 36. And then James Cook, the Bills had an insane rushing game. James Cook himself had 32 carries for 144 yards, 3 receptions for 33 yards. But surprisingly, these are not the rushing stats we want to talk about today. James Cook III's teammate, Josh Allen, has officially set the NFL record for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback, beating Cam Newton's 75
Hmm.
over an 8-year career. I think that is insane because you don't really ever think of Josh Allen as a scrambler, as a running quarterback. Yes, he can extend plays, but it's not like Cam Newton, who is known for running. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, to whose legacy would you add this to? Would you add this to Josh Allen's legacy? Would you add this to the coaching staff of the Bills for using him in this way? To the O line? What would you attribute this to?
I mean, if you watch the games, you will know it's on Josh Allen. No coach or franchise is gonna want their QB to run so much. Never.
Yeah.
Like we're out of that, that kind of, I guess, era, you could say.
Hmm.
And it's crazy because you have more QBs that's doing it, but you have more coaches wanting their QBs to really, not be mobile.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to give that to him, because if we really look at, all the QBs that are mobile, who else is doing that besides probably three names that you could, that pops up right into your head as soon as you hear his mobile or dual threat QB.
Yeah.
There's really the same three that pops up every single time. So for him to still be, going out there and doing everything he can, even though he has a running back that can arguably, outrun almost any other running back if he really wanted to,
Yeah.
like you have to get that's Josh Allen, So just from this last game, like you could see how he's hungry for it, because he knows he deserves to really go far in the playoffs and get a ring. Like he really deserves that, So it's I don't really know, because right, I mean it's still got a lot of games left. So if he doesn't carry that over, throughout the rest of the season, it's gonna be kind of like, okay, you pretty much ran all the touchdowns like almost for nothing, that type of thing. But if he really does carry all that and carry the team with him, start getting James Cook, warmed up more, keep feeding him, get passing game going and all that, that they're gonna be one of the hardest teams to beat. So, uh, yeah, I gotta give that to Josh Allen, like without a doubt.
Yeah. Finally, with our receivers, JSN, in what was a weird victory against the Vikings. The Seahawks, put up only 2 touchdowns, I believe, and one of them was defensive, and the rest was all field goals. And the defense just had their day and shut out the Vikings. So JSN only had 2 receptions for 23 yards. He's still leading the league. He is still the number one receiver by far. Um, Emeka Ibuka had a okay game as well, 4 for 42. George Pickens is slowly catching up to JSN. He is about 200 yards behind him and has jumped up in the wide receiver rankings. So we will continue to watch that in the future because that might be big. Emeka Ibuka and JSN, I mean, there is really nothing much to change about what we've been saying like this whole year. They continue to be JSN obviously like the top of the best of the best right now. And Amiga Ibuka looks like he's, gonna be a good wide receiver for the future, especially now that Chris Godwin is back for the Bucks. So, maybe he can show him around a little bit more. But yeah, um, it's been a great day. we're getting so close to playoffs. We're getting so close, and it's gonna be so fun because we're not gonna be in school for the first half of it, and the second half of it hopefully will be easier on us. So yeah, it's been an honor as always. I have been Emil. This has been Samaj, and we have been Sideline Surge. Good night, guys.